So I hope you guys like my new shades. You know, I had to get in some new glasses. You know, I had to up my prescription just a little bit, you know, so I can see from afar, you know. But yeah, speaking of shade, let's talk about, well, actually, no shade, no shade. Let's talk about the feminist movement, because we really got to talk about the feminists, you know, feminist movement. Like, I hope people understand that today's feminist movement has really nothing to do with what it originally started. You know, it's one of those things, like I tell people, like, it's like when there's too much power, it can get out of control, you know? I think that's where we're at. We're at like wave number 4. Now, I know you guys are probably sitting there thinking, what the hell you mean wave number 4? Shit, I think we're about to head into wave number 5, because, you know, at this point, it's just getting out of whack. But the first 2 waves had me. Like, I was there, you know? The last 2 is just very, very interesting to me, right? So when we start talking about the waves, like if we get down to the nitty gritty, the first wave was back in the late 19th century. And for those of you guys who don't understand how the centuries work, I have to make sure that I speak to everyone. It's the late 1800s. So it's right before the 1900s. So it was in regards to, or characterized by, the women's movement. So it's really like, you know, it was talking about women's suffrage, and also like, you know, women's right to vote. I was there. Now, the second wave came, so the first wave lasted all the way up until like the 1960s, and that's when the second wave kicked in. Now, this is where we start, you know, like they had me until maybe like the last moment, right? So if we talk about the second wave, we're talking about like, you know, pay equality. I'm here for it. We're talking about reproductive rights. I hear you. And like, you know, the domestic violence, for sure, because, you know, even as myself, I've been through domestic violence, and, you know, it's just not cool. So I'm there. Now, when we talk about the female sexuality, that's where it starts, you know, getting a little tricky, and we start blurring some lines, because that's where we started taking, you know, a little bit of a detour. And the reason why I say that, before, you know, you guys try to come for me as per usual, or sub me, you know, on social media, because whatever, I really don't care. But I need you guys to understand that that is where the beginning of the chaos and confusion came, along with the feminist movement. And I'm going to call it the feminist movement only because of the fact that I'm trying to be, you know, YouTube friendly. And, you know, gotta play nice. I ain't trying to get all these strikes, you know what I'm saying? Try to be here for the long haul. But yeah, so when we start talking about the female sexuality, that's where we was like, you know, really promoting the female liberation in the sense of sexual liberation. And that's where we started making a lot of promiscuity, almost like the norm. So today's twerking and, you know, all that, it's not even classy, it's definitely ratchet. So I feel homeboy that was in Dallas, you know, at the restaurant, that went ahead and he said, nah, we ain't doing this. I understood where he was coming from, because ladies, we gotta do better. We can't be out there, you know, shaking our ass in the middle of a restaurant. The restaurant's there for us to, like, you know, gather together, have a good meal, and catch a vibe. The vibe ain't sitting us throwing our ass in the circle, because that's just really not always the vibe. I understand, you know, but come on. There's a time and place for things. If that, go to the damn club. Anyways, I digress. Now, the female liberation with sexuality, that's where we have things going. Remember, so was it episode 2, I think? Yeah, pretty sure it was episode 2. That's where we was talking about, like, you know, the Moynihan scissors and whatnot. And I'm gonna keep referring back over to that, because that is where we changed the trajectory of the nuclear family. And at the end of the day, if we think about it, if we're liberating female sexuality and we're saying like all women are sexually empowered and we could just do whatever the hell we want, that's where we started going through what we have now with the epidemic of baby mamas, you know. And speaking as a woman with 2 kids, you know, I am a single mother. So I'm taking full accountability. Now, accountability, I know that's a kryptonite for a lot of you women, but I'm here to tell you, listen, embrace it, because we all have to come to a learning point somehow, some way, for us to know better, to do better. And we can't do better until we unlearn toxic behaviors and relearn healthy ones. So it's got to take some accountability on ourselves, because we have to be able to look in the mirror and look within. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, if we think about how the third wave was in the 1990s all the way until 2010-ish, we're going to say 10-ish. And that is where they redefined femininity. Now, what is femininity? Femininity is defined as the quality, attributes regarded to characteristics of women. And I know right now we have a whole movement going on, like redefining what is a woman. That is a topic we could discuss at a later date. That's not for today. But I'ma just say, y'all wasn't shooting up with us in the gym, all right? But anyways, I digress once again. Stay with me. Anyways, so when we're redefining femininity, if you think about in the 1990s, what a time to be alive. We are talking about essentially women saying femininity has nothing to do with being subtle, submissive, soft, that feminine quality, well, what is perceived as feminine energy. It's the strong, independent, Miss Independent single ladies. That's where they redefined it. So if you're wondering how the hell do you redefine femininity, it's because they started promoting the all my ladies, can you feel me? Throw your hands up. I was throwing my hands, but my hands are down now because it's some bullshit. And I know damn well I am not looking to continue that cycle. I am stopping it with myself because my daughter ain't gonna follow in that footstep. Okay? As a mother, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. For those of you who do not know me personally, for those who do know me personally, my clients, my family, my riders, y'all know how I get down. You guys already know, my thought process. You understand my heart. For those of you who do not know me, understand I come from a place with a good heart. My intention is far from malice. I'm not here to bash a single person. I am here to simply say, hey, wake up. Let's get this together here, because we really need to know better, do better, so we can be better. And not just for ourselves, but our children or the children to come. Because at some point, hopefully, those of us who want to be parents, we're going to be parents. So yeah, now, the fourth wave of feminism. This is where I'm really lost. And I am, once again, not here to bash. I am not looking to be polished nor politically correct. I am simply here to provide a perspective. And the fourth wave started in 2011, and it's even in present day. And that's where we have the queer sex positive, the trans exclusivity, and the body positivity. And all this is socially driven. No, digitally driven. My bad. And let me back that up. It's digitally driven. And I am all for being your most authentic self. If it means that you are, identifying as a certain person or gender or whatever, however it works, it's not something I partake in. So therefore, well, I guess you could say I do partake in it because I identify as a woman. I am a woman. But then again, like I said, we have this whole conversation. What is a woman? And that's something we'll have later. Well, not today, but another time. You know what I mean? But, so I'm all for, being you. As long as you're your most authentic self, who am I to knock you? You know what I mean? However, I will say that it should not be forced on everyone. And for those of us who do not understand what it's like, you cannot ridicule us. And I feel as though that is where our society is, especially with things being digitally driven with social media and all these platforms. It's like, a lot of people are coming in attack mode and defense mode. And I understand if you have been oppressed. I understand if you've been suppressing some emotions or suppressing yourself because you haven't been able to be your most authentic self until you started standing firm in your ground. I understand all that. However, we have to come to a place all together collectively that we are not mind readers, so therefore we do not understand everything that you understand, and it's all about giving perspectives, and not everything needs to be addressed. Because these days, social media is literally like a popularity contest. If you really want to think about it, like it's almost as if everybody feels as though that whether they are popular or unpopular, but they have a popular opinion and their opinion is all that matters. And it's like, it's not healthy. We're really on the extreme side. I'm going to keep saying that because until we change it, it needs to be addressed. Anywho, so when we talk about the feminist movement, right? Now, the feminist movement is the movement of feminism, if you go look it up, and or advocate for feminism. Now, what is feminism? Feminism, you would think would be like, a push for femininity. But it's actually the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. So this is where we have women saying that they are equal to men. Now, this is where it gets really tricky for me because I am full throttle for women's rights. I believe no woman should be disrespected. I believe women should have, at the very minimum, the basic respect that we give one another, compassion. I strongly believe as though that we need to be kind, and be morally driven or morally right. There's moral and immoral. And I feel as though we should always try to stray with moral, not stray away. Well, not. I think we should stray away from moving in an immoral sense and stick towards morality. I have my coffee, I promise. I think that's what's the problem. Like, I might have like a little caffeine buzz going. I don't know. I'm just trying. Too much coffee. Ah, shit. So now, there's a lot to unpack with this. This is just going to be a little teaser. We're definitely going to dive into more the whole after effects of the feminist movement and understand how that put us in a position. Because I'm going to tell you right now, for those of you who resonate with looking like me, and you know what I mean by that, that fight, that movement was not for us once we got into the 1960s. Yeah. Because of course we should have, we shouldn't have women's suffrage. Of course we shouldn't have, no rights to vote. I absolutely agree with all that. Now, a lot of times when we think about the nuclear family, how we were, very married up until like about the 1960s, 70s. And, the feminist movement was supposed to promote, the feminist movement was supposed to promote like, being liberated and being happy. Not for nothing. In a lot of surveys, there's a lot of women who are reporting that they are not happy. The women's happiness has been going on the decline. A lot of it is because we stressed, we tired, we overworked, we doing too much. We're going against our female nature. Now, our female nature, for those of you who are going to be like, well, what's the female nature? It is simply being able to, have that soft, touch to us, being able to tend to our children, being able to make a house a home. That is our special touch. And that is a lot of times what we are here for. Now, if you want to go make money, you have some time on your hands. All right, cool. But that doesn't mean that you have to work like a man. Now, when I say work like a man, I mean, at the end of the day, we are not equal to men. Now, Jocelyn, why the fuck would you say we're not equal to men? Yes, we are. Listen, we're really not. We are not built the same. We are not hardwired the same at all. Like, I need us to really pop that bubble of illusion and really come into reality because we're not. Men are literally built for labor. Now, they say pressures for the hips, not the shoulders when it comes to women. Okay? Men have broad shoulders. They're able to carry that load on their shoulders. Our pressure comes to our hips because we pushing out the babies. That's our form of labor. Now, as far as being able to, obtain degrees, success, all that other stuff, cool. But the ultimate goal for a lot of women, now I'm not saying all, because I understand that, remember, there's two different types of women in this world, and that's I talk about the Liliths and the Eves. There's two different kind of women in this world. I have this theory. And when we're talking about most women, our ultimate goal is family. Like, there's a lot of women who end up becoming 60 years old, and because they followed this mantra of, I'm independent, I'm this, I'm that. And then they're like old, miserable, bitter, but they got all the money in the world. And what does that money do for them? Nothing more than, get them where they're trying to go. And because that's what money is at the end of the day. Money is just simply, a monetary tool for you to obtain the materialistic things you desire and to help you to get to where you're trying to go. That's it. Now, as far as the relationship, the family, that is the true, ultimate wealth, because in the end, if you have it all today and you don't have it tomorrow, if you're lonely, it's going to suck. But if you have a moral support system, you'll feel a little better. Take it from someone who already, I fell rock bottom, got my way up, did it alone, sucked ass. Anywho, now, we have, when we talk about masculine and feminine energy, how everybody has both. It's just one is more than the other. That's like how men have more testosterone and women have less testosterone, and men have less estrogen and women have more estrogen. And, at the end of the day, our hormones go on the decline at some point, women faster than men, and women go through menopause and men go through andropause. Look it up. You guys do your research. Remember, we're here to learn. And at the end of the day, the feminine energy is for us to receive, and the masculine energy is naturally to give. You understand? So when we talk about the feminist movement and where it is today, it almost comes off to a lot of people, almost like if they see that you're a feminist or you say you're a feminist, they immediately correlate that in their mind with you're against men or you're anti-men. And that's because of the direction of the feminist movement going through these waves and constantly evolving. So when we think of the waves are like tiers. So you got the first and second, which I'm all for, but then you got the third and fourth, right? And that's where we get tricky. So the third and fourth, well, right now we're at fourth. So the fourth is including the third, the second, and the first, all in one. So it's a lot. And, at some point, a lot of women have to understand, especially when you come to your late 20s, early 30s, the faster you could wake up and smell the coffee and realize that, you need to take dating more serious. You really need to go ahead and establish the foundation of your family or whatever it is that you want out of life with your significant other, the better it'll be for you. Because if we think about the second wave was in the 1960s, just as that's when, abortions became legal between the 1960s and abortion became legal, I believe 1972. And then we also have the birth control. I think birth control became legal in 1965. I could be wrong. I don't remember, but I know it's between that time frame. But let's just say this. That's during the Generation X era, right? Now, if we're going with the Generation X era, that is our moms, our dads, right? And we're the 80s and 90s babies. And we were literally born into whatever mentality that they adapted, right? So they adapted this mentality in the Generation X era and conditioned and groomed the 1980s and 1990 babies, which is, considered the millennials, into this mindset of the third wave of the feminist movement, and then the fourth wave, and including the second wave, whatever. But here we go. We have all these waves, and we were born into it. We literally adapt. We were born with that mindset. Then we wonder why, right? So now perspective. We go ahead and we take the Generation X women who followed this mantra of single ladies, sexual liberation, so on and so forth, and figure out how many of them are actually married and happy. We see a lot of them, they call them the retired 304s. And a lot of them are not married. They may have a degree, they may have money, but they ain't got no man. And just observe them. And ask yourself, do you want to be them? If you do, continue with the feminist movement. If you don't, let's unlearn to relearn. And it's not saying that we have to completely X things out, but we really need to be very mindful of what we digest and really incorporate into our lives. Because if we continue down this road of what we were born into, I guess, we're just going to be just like them, and the cycle continues. At what point do we realize, that's just not the way to go? Let's not do that. And, let's be better. And, We really just have to understand it starts with us, especially as women with children, already, because whatever we carry as our mindset trickles over to our children. And when it trickles over to our children, they grow up with that mindset and they carry out whatever it is, as far as direction, with, best judgment and things of that nature. And they more than likely will follow exactly what we modeled. Ask yourself, are you who you want your kid to be? Are you who you want your daughter to be? Are you who you would want your son to date? And if the answer is no, that's okay. How can we make this better? Make sure you guys slide over to Slay Your Perspective on IG, like, share, comment, subscribe to our channel here. We have way more content coming, and absolutely be sure to DM us on IG at Slay Your Perspective and let us know your thoughts, and let's have the conversation. Let's keep it going and let's be great. All right. Bye, guys.